Hi guys, the amount of CMA enquiries that have exploded in this year has been tremendous for us, and that's the reason we are putting out more and more content for you guys. We can help you figure out if CMA is the right course for you, and if so, how do you clear it. So in this video, we're going to talk about a few points that most of you guys should be aware about, whether you're planning on getting into CMA or you've just gotten into CMA and are waiting for your exams. So here are 4 points that will help you guys clear your exams in the first go. Now before I get into it, I'm sure a lot of you all know that for CMA and for other qualifications like ACCA, CFA, CPA, at Zell we do train you guys, we do help you all with everything from your registration process to through the training all the way ending it with placements. So at any point if you all need any help, feel free to reach out. I'll be leaving the number below. Point number 1, practice the entire question bank and follow mocks. Now, I'm sure a lot of us when we were in school where we had to give our 10th or 12th board exams, we had to study a lot for the prelim exams. Prelims are essentially mock exams, and to prepare for the prelims, we have to prepare all the subjects, all the questions, all the examples multiple times. The same logic applies here, guys. When you guys are appearing for such professional qualifications, follow what we call the exam bank, which is a huge list of practice questions in the same format as that's going to come in the real exam. Practice that question bank a minimum of 3 times. If it sounds a little heavy, don't let it overwhelm you. The benefits are massive. So what happens is, when you try something couple of times repeatedly, even when you know what the answer is, it still gets your brain to figure out that, okay, fine. So when a question similar to the one you practice comes in the exam, you will already have some idea of how to solve it. But this will only happen if you do the same questions multiple times. Similarly, when it comes to mock exams, guys, think about it like this, okay? Let's say you give 3 mock exams before. And when I say mock exams, I mean you give it in exam conditions. You lock yourself in the room for those 4 hours before you and actually appear for the exams the way you're meant to in the real exam. Let's say you start. First time you give a mock, you know, and this is what we do at Zell, so that I can actually tell you all, out of having tried this with thousands of students across all courses, right? It works all the time. So you give a mock. 4 hours or how much of a time in the room. Once you finish it, you give yourself a check, and if it turns out that you've not cleared or you barely cleared, okay, no problem. Do that again. Once again, you get slightly, hopefully better marks, and do the 3rd time. This time you hopefully will really score well. And now think about it this way. When you go for the real CMA exam, you've already experienced this whole exam feeling 3 times in the past while you've consistently maintained how to score better and better. So your final exam, you're going to definitely score the best. There is almost a negligible chance you will not clear, and you will not get deterred in the exam. All this combined will make sure that all your question practice and your mock efforts are worth it. Point number 2, as always, don't memorize, understand. You know, we've always learned that, yeah, don't mug up, don't rote learn, and unfortunately, a lot of our school and college curriculum and exam patterns are such that in India we have to mug up a lot, we have to rote learn a lot, we have to memorize a lot. So it's good if you memorize. The thing is, for professional qualifications like CMA, it's a disaster because they are not testing you on memory. What is happening is they expect us to really understand the logic of any concept. Most of the financial and accounting concepts are created out of logic, not numbers or not math. So and logic is quite simple, right? You take the concept of time value of money, you know. It's a simple formula that everyone can mug up or memorize in BCOM or in any of your bachelor's degree. That being said, how do you really apply it besides the 4-5 ways they teach you in the textbook when you memorize? How do you really apply it when it comes to your own investments, or when you really have to try and tackle the concept of inflation for your own life, for your own assets, for your family wealth, for your own, even when it comes to small decisions you'll be making. Should I buy a car or should I, rent out a car? Should I buy a house, or so on and so forth? All of this, for example, at some point, the concept of time value of money plays a factor. So if you understand the concept rather than memorize it, it might be a little more difficult. Memorizing is actually the easiest thing. I feel it's more of a shortcut. So if you don't have time, fine, memorize. But when you're giving such exams, you're trying to break through your career here. So over here, spend time, take help, understand the logic, learn the concept. You might have to memorize how the concept is derived, but once you do that, any question around it, any case study around it, and more importantly, not only in the exam but in your actual life, anytime it comes up, you should be able to apply the concept, get to the best possible outcome that is for you guys, and hopefully in your career, for your interviewer as well as for your company. Point number 3, avoid a very Indian concept of selective studies. Again, school, college, a lot of it we would skip chapters, to make sure that we covered everything last minute on time, or we know what kind of questions is going to come. Our teachers always tell us what to focus on more, what not to. But now you're entering a different league. Professional qualifications do not have the syllabus to make just so that you can pass for the sake of it. You really need to get through everything. Do not skip anything. That's point number 1. I always used to say, at least for all qualifications, I say that if you complete 100% of the paper, you already have a 50% chance of passing, because completing and attempting every question is extremely crucial. Also, CMA is what we call a dynamic exam. Because it's a computer-based exam, the algorithm is such that it keeps throwing questions to you which the system understands you're weak at. Which means, let's say 8 out of 10 chapters and you skip 2. In the beginning, you'll score really well for those 8, but the minute the exam asks you questions on those 2 chapters which you start fumbling in, they'll ask you more and more questions only with those 2 chapters. So it's going to be very difficult for you to skip, because even if you do majority according to you, you might still not get great marks, because the questions that will keep coming to us are of the questions that you seem to have a hard time with. So do focus on your strengths. That's number 1. Actually, it's more important to focus on your strengths, because you got to really ace that, and that's a given. You also need to focus on the chapters or the concepts you're not so strong at, so you become a holistic management accountant. That's what CMA US as a qualification wants us to become. The amount of time you study should be consistent. Now, a lot of people say, how much time do I have to study? How many hours do I have to give? My point is that honestly, the number of hours to be given will be different for all of us. What's key, what is not different for any of us, is consistency. You might need to study 1 hour for 3 months and you'll clear the exam. I might need to study for 3 hours. All I can guarantee you is that you have to be very lucky to clear this exam in a matter of 3 days if you start studying last minute. As long as I'm giving you an average of 3 months, consistently you make sure you study at whether an hour or 2. But do it consistently. That is the kind of preparation you require. And most of the studies also should be in terms of actually solving questions rather than just reading concepts. Read concepts quickly, try your best to understand, but the way you really apply and learn it is by actually solving questions. So spend time over there. By the way, this is excluding the training that, for example, we do at Zell, and we still tell our students that this is how you have to manage your studies. But what I can guarantee you is that if you don't study consistently, you will have the most difficult time clearing this paper. So with that said, I really hope that some of these points are those which either you all didn't know or were not aware about, and you can apply it, and these points are the points that help you all clear the exam in one attempt.